I waited to comment on the infamous Riyadh Comedy Festival 1 because I wanted to think on the topic that literally doesn't affect me or you. Yet we all have this harsh stance on the comedy show and the comics. I wanted to observe, research my feelings, and form an opinion by looking at this silly cancellation attempt as something that will consume my thoughts. Because it's pop culture. And pop culture today is toxic. That's really what our pop culture is these days, is negativity. And I think the only trend that I've seen that reminds me of my childhood in the past 5 years or so is this cultural phenomenon called 6'7". I went from not understanding it to literally getting annoyed by it. And then something strange happened. I began embracing it.
Oh my God.
And now it just makes me laugh. It makes zero sense, by the way. But I laugh because I know it's cringe and my kids think it's cringe that I'm doing it, but we all just laugh. And I think, from what I heard, that conservatives are trying to kill this silly momentum. And if that's true, y'all, it's not that deep. It's just 6 to 7 feet deep. 6'7". But I wanted to act like I care, so I had to get into that mindset about this festival. So I sat with it. And now I want to share my opinion, my observation. Los Gates. By the way, if you're always wondering what I'm saying when I say Los Gates, it means get ready in German.
Here's to show.
First and foremost, you know there will be a Riyadh Comedy Festival 2 next year, right? And due to this outrage, these same comedians that we're going to talk about today are going to cash in even a bigger check next year because now it's controversial. And these comedians have gotten so much backlash from the online world. And I keep saying online world on this channel because I truly believe that this world that you consumed in is poison. It's poison to your brain. And we no longer share a reality. We all live in our own little reality and it's driving some of us, honestly, crazy. Welcome to the simulation that we live in. Shout out to you, Kedar. No, seriously, this has gotten so much backlash. It's become this moral virtual signaling outrage, but some of it I actually understand. You see, when I grew up, I watched comedy for jokes, not political opinions. Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Def Comedy Jam was my jam. And one of my hobbies to this day is still going to comedy shows. None of that open mic crap stuff though, okay? I wouldn't want to pay someone to watch a person like me attempt to be funny. This right here is bad enough. But in the past 10 years, a lot of these comedians threw themselves on this high horse, morally judging everyone, looking down on them. And they also became extremely political. Some comedians chose to take the Hollywood route. The Kevin Harts, the Gabriel Iglesias, Joe Coy. A lot of these people aren't known for talking about politics or social issues. They just want to make jokes, sell out some arenas, and make some movies. Like, I don't know what Chris Tucker's stance is on politics or the global state of the world, nor do I care. But I like Friday, I like Money Talks, I like Dead Presidents, which brings me to today's movie recommendation. If you're new to my channel, I always give a movie recommendation every single episode. In today's episode, I'm recommending Dead Presidents featuring Lawrence Tate and Chris Tucker. During the peak of his career when Chris Tucker was known to be a comedian, this was like his first role where he played a serious role in a Vietnam era movie. Now check it out, great movie. As a kid, I hated it because they advertised it like a bank robbery movie and that only happens at the end. So don't get your hopes all high up. That bank robbery scene, that's at the end. And Chris Tucker's performance, I'm telling you, is underappreciated. Joe Coy, I think he's hilarious. I don't think I've ever heard him speak on anything besides being a proud Asian and making fun of Asians. Russell Peters, Anzi Ansari are Indian comedians, and from what I recall, they just joke about the Indian people and their life experiences. And yes, I understand that Indians are also Asian. A lot of these comedians on this list did not get flack because they're not known to be these virtue signaling political commentators. Ali Sadiq, hilarious comedian. If he ever comes into your neighborhood, make sure to check it out. Of course, I would expect him to take this check. And I wouldn't expect less of him. But the ones who were the most vocal during the injustice in America jumped off their high horse and showed you who they really are, which are hypocrites. And that's why this story has gotten so much attention and traction. Fans were pissed, and congratulations to all the fans. Now you know that comedians are just regular average people with questionable morals, depending on how many zeros are in the end of that check.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm not poor!
And now the comedians know that their audience can be fickle. And if you do something they don't like, they're going to be vocal, and they may unsubscribe, and they may stop supporting you. Just like that. in a heartbeat. It's a digital world, baby. This is always going to be through comments, right?
Weird.
Andrew Schulz, for example, love him or hate him, he definitely misread his audience because the comments were wild when he addressed the anti-propaganda trip. He was getting jumped left and right by his audience in the comments, and I jumped in too, gave a quick kick, and then I bounced. But let's be honest. You will tune in again, I will tune in again, because Andrew Schulz is a comedian. He tells jokes. 1,000 years ago, he would be considered a clown. They are there to tell jokes. Lighten up the day, be funny. That's it. But just let's be real for a second. He likely got paid a fat bag and he got that full VIP treatment, and you would have probably done exactly the same, especially if you were a new father. You know, create that generational wealth because he doesn't know where he's going to be in the next 10 to 20 years. He might just end up like sitting at a table signing autographs at a Comic-Con with no line. True story. Saw him a couple weeks ago. It actually kind of made me sad. I hate going to those Comic-Cons where you see people just trying to hang on to a little fame that they got left. My issue in all of this, honestly, is just that these comedians aren't being honest about why they took the bag. And Schulz said it was for his fans.
There are people there who want to see you, that like your material, but your own fans are censoring you.
I don't really buy it. I'm not even sure if they understand the jokes, and I don't mean it in like a disrespectful way. English is taught in their schools, but America's humor is a unique cultural type of thing that all Americans share. It's like British humor. I don't get British humor besides Ricky Gervais, and we all know why I like Ricky Gervais.
Don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and okay?
German comedians. There's so many of them, and people will laugh. These Germans would laugh at these German comedians, and I never understood it. It just did not resonate with me.
Sowieso nur wieder die Hand.
And I never understood it. It just did not resonate with me. I love kings of comedy. Actually, just one king of comedy.
Come to pick your kid up and he got a knot on the corner of his head. You say, what happened to my son? I'm gonna tell you, I took a hammer and slapped the out of him.
Blue Collar Comedy Tour. I didn't get it. I'm sorry, I don't understand it. I don't understand why people think Larry the Cable Guy is funny. Ron White. The drunk white uncle humor, I don't have one of those, so I just could not resonate. Comedy is very subjective, but I don't think the Saudis fully get the jokes. But I also don't know this 100%. It's just my unsolicited, stupid opinion.
Man, ever since I arrived, everybody keeps asking me, like, brother, are you excited to see Saudi? Are you surprised by Saudi culture? And it's like, I've seen it before, guys. I've been to London. It's not...
That was actually a pretty good joke. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't know. You tell me in the comments below. What's also kind of funny is it's like a basket full of comedians with various different styles of comedy. You got the white humor, you got the black humor, you got the Asian humor, the Muslim comedians. That makes more sense, but I'm not even sure if they can say whatever they want freely over there. Of course they can. Who am I kidding? They got that VIP treatment, but perhaps that open micer can't make those same jokes, and if they do, maybe he'll get paid by disappearing. And who cares? They make critics disappear all the time. What makes you think they care about some desperate open micer? There are layers to my emotions, so just get ready for this roller coaster. But this is why you shouldn't look up to any of these celebrities as a beacon of hope. I only look up to Jesus, the King. Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle probably got the most heat, and they happen to be on a top 5 of my list.
Yes, yes, yes.
Dave Chappelle, known for his observational, satirical, and socially conscious comedy, failed to observe the backlash he would get by going over to Saudi Arabia. According to reporters, Dave Chappelle criticized America and said how Saudi Arabia has better free speech than America. Now, I haven't been able to actually find the recording or see a video of him saying this, because I need more context. You know, writing down jokes with zero context could lead to misrepresentation. Maybe he was joking. Like, I don't know. We don't know. And I'm being very biased here, of course, and I'm giving Dave Chappelle some grace because I like him. But apparently, he also said he feared returning to the United States because they might do something to him so that he can't say what he wants to say. If that is true, Dave Chappelle 100% messed up. Maybe it's because he couldn't smoke weed over there, you know, he wasn't clear-minded. It's hard making that type of joke or taking that statement serious when you can just criticize American government, still get paid handsomely, and the worst case scenario, if you get backlash, you might lose your multi-million-dollar contract and gig hosting a late-night show.
I want to go back to that cover and show you this crown. Okay, that's not a crown, that's the letter M. Only he would see an M on his head and assume it's a crown.
Unlike Saudi Arabia, you might get chopped up into pieces for being too critical of, I don't know, let's say the Crown Prince. But my point is, we don't really know if Dave Chappelle lost his mind, but hypocrisy is real when you spend time criticizing America, jumping on board with the whole George Floyd BLM rhetoric, and talking about justice for all when you take that nice fat bag of cash and look the other way of the injustice in the country that you went to. Granted, technically we all do this, all right? We always look elsewhere. What's going on in Gaza? What about Nigeria? Who cares? We're on Gaza right now. But Bill Burr, the angry ginger comedian that made a name for himself by being this cynic comedian with dark humor. People have been saying this for the past couple of years, that he's switched up. And maybe he has, I just didn't notice. The guy has toned down his comedy for sure. He's aged, he finally got married, he has a kid, probably sees the writing on the wall, and is just trying to cash the bag before he fully alienates his hardcore fans. He went from this.
So your Christian background is part of the show. Or
yes, and I wanted to talk to you about Jesus after this.
Well, the only reason why I bring it up is some people thought maybe you went a little too far.
I don't even know what I mean, we did maybe 2 jokes about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you think the Catholic Church went a little too far? More so than my cartoon.
All right, listen.
A couple of jokes. I know this is a morning show. You can't bring up all those crimes.
You know what? Technically,
they just sort of kept moving them around. You know, like those killer whales at SeaWorld. After it kills a trainer, they'll then move it up to Seattle. They don't give them their background.
To cheering for murder.
But CNN and Fox News are not going to bring up the insurance companies that are just going to keep everybody's premiums and still give themselves a bonus. Yeah. Yes. Free Luigi.
Really? You know, you usually start off as a liberal, you grow up and then you get married, you have kids, you pay bills, and you slowly become more conservative and angry at everything that you're seeing around you. What's the saying? If you're young and not a liberal, you have no heart, and if you're old and you're not a conservative, you have no brain. And Bill Burr seems to be dealing with the Benjamin Button syndrome. It's as if he discovered that majority of his audience were conservatives, likely Republicans and MAGA-loving bigots who have a sense of humor. And he wanted to get away from that crowd for some odd reason. I mean, we all know where his wife stands, right? Happy wife, happy life. And this bag may be able to provide a happy life for the foreseeable future. I mean, come on, man. Like, you went on rants like this.
Usher, Beyonce, and Mariah Carey actually did private New Year's gigs for $1 million. Did New Year's gigs for Gaddafi's kids. Can you believe that? How much money do you need to make? You know? You're gonna take a gig where you're gonna go dance like a goddamn clown for a mass murderer's kids? And then you take that blood money, stick it in your bank account, go buy yourself some glitter or whatever the hell you do when you're a goddamn singer. Buy some more streamers to hang on your mic stand, and then when you get busted, you try to play it off like you had no idea who Gaddafi is.
The next day,
I will see some of you at the Gibson Amphitheater on April 2nd for the Kevin and Bean comedy show that raises money for I forget what cause. I know it's a great cause because no one ever raises money for terrorists, right? I guess unless you do a comedy show in like Saudi Arabia. Isn't that what they do? That's how they raise money with their filthy oil money, and they funnel it through the mosques. Isn't that how it goes down? Is that how the paper trail goes?
Bill, seriously, what did you expect would happen after all this virtual signaling, rants, shaming Usher and Mariah Carey for getting the bag, only for you to switch it up once you got that same opportunity? What did you expect was going to happen? Oh, they got a Starbucks and a Pizza Hut. Freedom! It's that out-of-touch behavior on his part that got the mob after him, and that's also likely driving all the hate towards him. He's receiving it because he low-key kind of deserves it. Unlike with Andrew Schulz to Dave Chappelle, who got a little heat too, I think they'd be okay because their entire comedic routine didn't rely on social commentary as much as Bill Burr's. And this may have been career suicide for Bill. But who cares? I'm sure he made millions of dollars, and if he didn't,
You're an idiot!
to burn his entire reputation down for a couple of six figures. The fact that he even said that there's some misconceptions on Saudi Arabia, like the average person thinks Saudi Arabia is some jungle in the Middle East. No, you moron. It's actually a nice place over there. You know where else is pretty? Nice and developed in all the major cities? Iran, Russia, and China. And if you happen to go there because the government invited you and paid you, you're gonna see the prettiest parts, interact with the coolest people, and have a fantastic experience. Now, become a citizen. Live there for a while. Let your celebrity status evaporate, and then you will see that everything that you bitch about in this country is actually happening over there. Human rights? Humans don't have rights. Feminism? What is that? You don't love the country that you're living in, and you want to disrespect it through a stupid podcast? Don't worry, they'll send you a message of FAFO.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out.
LGBT rights? What was that again? Homosexuality? Don't worry, we'll straighten you out. They may be trying to modernize their economy, but they still have laws and regulations that we in the West think are straight up medieval. Ironically, a lot of the comedians on this list have at some point whined about Western problems, which compared to Saudi Arabia are basically a Disney movie. But with a little more money, they're willing to shut up and tell jokes. If some of you are unfamiliar with why Saudi Arabia even put together this comedy festival with all the top comics of America, it's Saudi Arabia's way to actively work on revamping its image, especially under the leadership of the Crown Prince MBS. The country has long been viewed through the lens of its conservative social politics, human rights issues, and strict governance, as well as 9/11. However, the kingdom is pushing hard for modernization strategy to change both international perception and its domestic landscape, aka it's called Vision 2030. Like, what's the purpose to be filthy rich if you can't do anything with it? So they're invested into their economy and their entertainment and sports industry. They'll buy us and then they'll take us over there. The Saudi International Golf Tournament was huge. And with that came a ton of backlash as well, known as sports washing. I'm a wrestling fan and a soccer fan. Saudi has taken a keen interest in both, especially in WWE. They're literally buying and making investments in a lot of American cultural things. Even the video game space. They've taken a significant ownership of EA Sports. That's your Maddens and your FIFA series. What's the investment? That's just a measly $1 billion. It's no big deal.
What? What the fuck?
Saudi has even invested into cultural expression, which has been pushed to allow more freedom for young people to express themselves culturally through music, fashion, and entertainment. Things that were once heavily restricted are now a little bit more free.
Once again, as I said before, whoever put together the comedy festival and everything, what it did for freedom of speech over there, because like before it started, you couldn't talk about all of this stuff, and then they whittled it down to just that. And that is how, if you truly care about stuff like that, you gradually move towards something more positive.
And the comedians are part of that agenda. So is America. Some of you may not know this, but we have a relationship with them through their oil business, counterterrorism. They're also one of our largest buyers of U.S. weapons and military technology, with billions, billions of dollars in arms sales. They're also one of our trading partners. So this idea that America is anti-Saudi Arabia is a bit strange, and people are actually misinformed on this. So what? 15 of the 19 hijackers involved in 9/11 attacks were from Saudi Arabia and considered Saudi Arabian nationals. Everyone can be bought, even Pete Davidson. I know that most of the comedians will say this is an attempt to break the barrier into Saudi Arabia, to change their culture, to show the world how Saudi Arabia is progressing in the right direction. Even including Louis C.K. with his chronic masturbation habits and other Me Too accusers. Because nothing says we're moving forward like a bunch of people with questionable pasts headlining a comedy show and getting on their high horse and telling us that we are idiots. And I don't care. I really shot this video because I think it might actually do well, and maybe my perspective is unique enough for it to resonate with some of you. Now, I'm not a comedian. I don't know what it takes to get paid to be funny. What I do know is that some comedians are more honest than others. Dillon, for example, he said he would sell out in a heartbeat if the money was right.
Dowd is paying us hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of us millions. Get over it. We're taking the money. How about that? How about that? So what? They have slaves. So what? Get over it.
How can you hate honesty? He's aware. All this virtue signaling that you see everywhere online and in front of the cameras with all of these celebrities, it's BS. You think that all these liberal actors like Creepy Pedro really believe in all the stuff that they're saying? No! Tim Dillon is the least consistent. Or how about Shane Gillis, who was invited and said this?
Asking me to go to the Middle East soon.
What? What? Where? Why?
Saudi Arabia and UAE or Dubai. I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah. For the troops? Is it for the troops?
Not for the troops. It's for the Saudis.
For the Saudi princes?
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, you should do it. Everyone's doing it. It's like, for Saudis? Weren't those the 9/11 guys?
You know, Shane Gillis could have easily snagged a big fat paycheck from the Saudi Arabians right now. He is on top of his game, on fire as one of the most popular comedians out there right now. This is the same guy who got booted from SNL for being too insensitive with his jokes. And this guy had the guts and the principles to turn it down.
They doubled the bag, the princes?
It was a significant bag, but I'd already said no, you know? I took a principled stand.
And that's why I think Shane Gillis is not only one of the funniest comedians right now, he's still in touch with reality. He still comes across as a down-to-earth average guy. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I think he's gonna have a long, successful career ahead of him without ever losing his audience. Unless he decides to jump on board for Riyadh Comedy Festival 2.
Yes, definitely.
So here's the deal. Should Riyadh Festival really take up time in your head? Absolutely not. It's a waste of time. Should you look at these comedians differently now because they took an easy, well-paying gig in a questionable country? Not really. But now you at least know where these comedians stand, what their principles are, whether or not you want to pay to see them rant about their hypocrisy. Everyone else on that list seems to be doing just fine. Likely will recover in a short period of time, besides maybe Bill Burr. It's honestly a little sad to see. The guy can barely get 50K views on his YouTube podcast anymore, and he has over 1 million subscribers, and he's being destroyed in his comments right now. He pivoted his comedy a couple of years ago, and he suffered from it. And maybe that's why he went over there, because he saw the writing on the wall.